Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Or if you're new, welcome for your first time to Hi Vibin It. I'm Kelsey Aida, and I'm basically an inspirational author and blogger. I help people to own their power and win at life. And my co-host here, Miss Lynnsey Robinson, is an amazingly beautiful hypnotherapist, and she helps people get their mindset right, get into those limiting beliefs, work with your subconscious mind, and all that jazz.
Yeah.
So first of all, how are you doing today?
Me, I'm great. I am fantastic. School, it's Monday. My kid at school. I can just relax and do this fun show with you.
Yay!
You just got back from Mexico. You're way more exciting. Tell me about your trip.
Dude, yes. I'm nice and bronzed. I'm nice and relaxed. But today I'm delusional because I flew all night to get home. So I didn't sleep properly. So this show should be interesting.
And I'm delusional is my default setting these days because
Nice.
babies and no sleep. But my babysitter got here an extra hour so that I could sleep. Isn't that great?
Yay.
She's so
what
nice.
An angel.
She's seriously an angel. I don't know what I would do without her. She made the kids breakfast. Oh my God. It was amazing. Doesn't happen every day, but when it does, it's like Christmas.
Great. I love it. So what are we talking about today, Linz? Intuition?
We're talking about intuition. We're talking about your inner voice, your third eye, your higher wisdom, your soul GPS, whatever the heck you want to call it. Everybody's got it, but it just, for some of us, feels like we either can't hear what it's saying or can't decode the message that we're getting. And so today's show is all about giving you ways, which we love to do, give you tidbits and tips and practices to turn the dial up on your intuition, on your higher wisdom, and really get in touch with your core essence that always knows the right answer.
Yes, I'm really excited to talk about intuition. When you first were like, hey, let's talk about intuition next week, I was like, I don't know. Because for me, it comes so naturally that I was like,
Yeah.
can I teach this? What do I teach about it? Because for me, being this newbie psychic medium and having had this Kundalini awakening, I'm always getting bombarded by intuitive hits, whether it's about my life or other people's lives. And I find that when I'm trying to pick up on stuff about my experience, it can get convoluted with projections of what I want or what I fear, or it's just not as clear sometimes when I'm trying to be intuitive about my own self and my own timelines, because we just want things to be a certain way, or we don't want them to be a certain way, or we overthink, or we have anxiety, and we confuse that for intuition. So I guess let's start with, how do we know if what we're hearing is our intuition versus a thought or a fear or an anxiety? Because sometimes your intuition can warn you of things to stay away from, or things that you don't want to engage with, or people who are necessarily don't have your best interest in mind. How can we tell the difference?
Okay, so I think, you know how when people tell you you're never in love until you are, and you can't explain how it feels until you actually are, and you don't know until you know, and it's so stupid and confusing the way that it's said, but it's how do I know if I'm in love? Well, you just know. You know what I mean? That always drove me nuts. And what are you talking about? I thought, I think I know. I felt like I know, but then when I actually did fall in love, it was oh, that's what it feels like. And it truly is a feeling on another level, the same as intuition, where you might feel like your fear is speaking to you and it's your intuition, or I should avoid this because of this. But it could also be something you have to work through. It could also be something you're supposed to step toward instead of something you're supposed to step away from. And I just feel like tuning into that other level of just knowing. And you absolutely will. Everybody listening has had an experience in their life where they just knew, but they could not explain how they knew. They just knew. It's on even further than a primal level. It's on a soul level. It's a light. I don't know. It's stupid. It's hard to explain, but it's just something that you just know how. And a lot of times when your intuition's talking to you, it could also be something that is true, but you don't necessarily want to believe it. So you try to deny that it's true.
Dude,
all those red flags.
The shit right there. Okay, let's get real and talk about this, because
I know you have experience in this area.
Well, yes, I have experience, and I'm very opinionated and passionate about it, because I feel like people think, oh, I need help getting in touch with my intuition. I don't know how to hear it. But really, I don't think that's actually the problem. I think the problem is that we hear it crystal clear. We know, but we don't follow it. We don't have the courage to look at what it's telling us in the face, or we don't have necessarily the wherewithal to deal with the fact that this could be true, or we don't want it to be real.
Exactly.
And so we just shove our intuition to the side, like, screw you, that's not what I want, or that's not what I wanted to hear or know, even if that is the truth. So I feel like the real problem is not, oh, I can't hear my intuition. It's I'm not willing to listen to
when
what
was
my
the
intuition has
last
to say.
time or the most dramatic time that that's happened to you? Because I know what mine is. When has that happened to you before?
The most dramatic one, okay, let's not get into the whole twin flame story of my life, but the most recent, most dramatic one was when I got back together with my ex, before we broke up again for the last time. And he was like in a very vulnerable place where I almost felt like if I didn't get back together with him, he was going to hurt himself. So I felt obligated to do it, even though my intuition was like, this is not the right way to enter back into a partnership. Like, everything about it felt wrong, even though that was also what I wanted, because I still wanted to be with him at that point. I did not listen. And did it work out? From one perspective, it worked out how it was supposed to, but if we're looking at the timeline here, that blew up abruptly and ended. So, I mean, it's interesting though, because like when I first met him, my intuition very much told me this is going to be a person who's going to play a very, very, very important role in your life. And so I was excited, not knowing that the role of this human, which it was true that he played a very important role, that he helped me evolve very quickly, but it wasn't a comfortable or necessarily fun or easy or painless ride, which is hilarious because I was so excited when I first met him. I couldn't stop smiling. Something in my intuition was like, this person is it. And I misinterpreted that as this person is your person for the rest of your life. Like, he's the one. But really it was like, this person is your fucking twin flame who's going to fuck you over. So you grow super, super fast and you embody your highest self much quicker. So that's, I guess.
And boy, howdy did it.
Oh yeah, that was something else.
Yeah, it was. I think, mine was definitely, well, I have two actually. One, pretty much every relationship I've been in where the red flags would pop up and you'd be like, yeah, but, you know.
Let's just not look over there.
Yeah, but let's just, turn our attention somewhere else. But on the flip side, one time when my intuition actually served me very well was just moving to California. I was a Florida born, Michigan raised, and nobody left. Nobody did things. Nobody and that's not completely true, but nobody in my sphere of acknowledgement ever ventured outside of their town or maybe a couple towns over. And so the fact that I was coming to my family like, okay, so I'm moving and I'm going as far away as I possibly can to California and peace. They were like, wait, what? What's happening? What's going on? And they'd ask me why. And I'd say, I don't know. I really didn't know. It was just a pull. It was like a magnetic force that was like, I have to go. I have to go. I just have to go there. I know whatever I need to find is going to be there when I get there. And sure enough, it was, which, spoiler alert, turned out to be my husband and my now 3 children. But I have no doubt that I was supposed to do it, but it just did not make sense. It just didn't, not financially, not, in my family relationships. It just, none of it made sense, but I just did it anyway. And I think everybody has those experiences as well, but it's like how to know that it's not going to just end in failure. Do you know how many friends I have that I met in LA that like 2 years later, not even a few months later, they'd be back home because they could, it's so expensive and it's just so fast and it's so different from what we're used to that they just couldn't handle it. But I stayed. I had to.
Your intuition was like, no, bitch.
It's like, we're going to figure this out. We're going to figure this out. We're going to stay. You're going to do what you got to do. But that's a time where you just kind of know and you have to go for it. And who cares what's going to happen because I can't say I completely trusted that I was going to be okay, but I wasn't scared.
Yeah, because some part of you, probably not your anxious part, but some aspect of you was like, this is what's best. So come here, come.
Yeah. And there was no other, and this is what was important for me too. And what sticks out, there was no other option. In my head, that was the answer. And there was no, I was going to make it work because there was no plan B. Like that was my plan A, B, C, D, and E.
And so what did it sound like or look like to you, those intuitive nudges when you're feeling the pull to move?
Looking back, I can't really say, except it was just, I mean, I just had to. And I know how like it just fails when you're trying to explain something, because people are like, but give me more, but give me more. Like even when I got to California, people that I left couldn't understand me leaving. People that I met when I got there could not understand what I was doing there. They're like, oh, are you an actress? Did you come to act or model? No. And I didn't have an answer as to why. It was just, I just need to be here, which sounds like I'm a freaking crazy person, but it was absolutely true. I had nothing else. So I made up an answer that was true, incidentally, but not the reason. You know, they'd say, what are you doing in California if you're not in the business? And I'd say, well, I don't like snow. So I moved to the hot part of the world, which wasn't the reason, but it's the only thing I could come up with. But it just felt like when I thought about moving, here's what I'll say. When I thought about moving across the country with no one, by myself, on a plane in one suitcase, I felt like I was excited and more than I was scared. I was excited for what I was going to find when I got there more than I was afraid of failing. And I think that's the key. When your soul is like, but look at how amazing this feels to be on the right path. Same thing when I started doing hypnosis. It was the same lighting up that I got within me. That was just like, I know this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I feel like what you're talking about is when you're following your higher guidance or your intuition or your spirit team or whatever you want to call it. And that's like confirmation that you're on the right path. But from a different like perspective, let's talk about intuition in another way. So for me, I feel like intuition comes through at first in a very non-emotional way. Like it's just information without emotion attached to it, which is how I can tell the difference between like an anxious premonition that's actually not true versus like true intuition. Do you know what I'm talking about?
So when you get intuition downloads, you are detached, would you say?
Yeah, it's like a piece of information that doesn't have an emotional charge.
Okay.
Unless I decide to like dissect it. So for example, like before I met my ex, I had this emotional premonition, this intuition. I'm going to fall in love in October. I don't know with who. I don't know when. I don't know how. I don't know where. Well, I knew the when in October. And then I did, and it happened. But like to me, before, when it first came to me, it wasn't like, oh, I'm excited, or, oh, I'm nervous, or, oh, whatever. It was just like, here's a piece of information that has no charge. But then because I wanted to be in love, the more I thought about it, the more I would get excited about it. And then of course it came true. And that was the whole, like your intuition being right about whatever timeline that you're on. But a lot of times intuition will come in the form of like just a knowing, and you don't know why, and you don't know where the information comes from. And it doesn't necessarily have an emotional charge, because a lot of times we can have anxious thoughts that we think, oh, is this my intuition telling me that this is going to happen? But really it's just your anxiety freaking out.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think when, if we're taking the California example, I feel like I never thought about moving to California. In fact, he's probably listening to this episode, but I had a boyfriend at the time, and he was like, let's move to California. And I was like, no. Why would I move to California? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. I don't want to go to California. And it was almost like the seed was planted at that moment, and I rejected it because I just never had considered it. I was just out of high school. I just never thought about doing that. But then a few months later, unfortunately, I knew I had to go to California, and I also knew I had to go alone. So it involved a breakup. It involved, saying goodbye to all my family, and just, I had, on the outside, it looked like I was losing my marbles because I was detaching myself from every relationship and route I had created in Michigan to go. But I think, I like what you said about there's no emotional charge, because I really, as much as it was sad that I was doing these things, it was a force that I just had to do. I just had to do it. And it really wasn't like, there was no emotion really. Not to say that I wasn't sad about it, but as far as the moving forward from there, I can see where there would be like, this is just something you have to do. It was very much objective based rather than emotionally based.
Yeah, let's give an example, like hypothetical. Luckily, I've never been in this situation, but a lot of young women have, where let's say you're like in a parking lot and there's a dude following you, like close behind. It could just be that he's also going to his car and his car's next to yours, or it could be that he's a fucking predator and he wants to murder you. And if you have a good sense of intuition, you might get an inkling that's not necessarily going to make you scared, but it's going to make you informed. Like, this person does not have good intentions. Like, walk faster, lock your car, get out of there as quick as you can, make some noise, make eye contact with this person so they know that you're onto them. Whatever it is, like, your intuition is going to give you that guidance, and you're not necessarily going to be scared until you digest the guidance if you decide to make it scary. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
because on the other hand, it could just be an innocent man and your anxiety is like, oh my God, I'm gonna die, this guy's a predator, blah blah blah. To me, that feels different than a true knowing.
True. And I think that once you get the download of the information, whatever the information is, as a human being in a human body, we are automatically going to associate certain feelings with certain pieces of information, and that's where the emotion comes from. But it doesn't necessarily come from the intuition itself. It's just the next step on the soul path, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Cool. So, yeah, I mean, I guess the whole point that I'm trying to make is how to tell the difference between like your anxiety versus your intuition, because your intuition can warn you of things to steer away from, or how to tell your projection of excitement of what you want to happen versus your intuition. Like, am I just visualizing this because I want it to happen, or is it like actually coming in as something that's going to happen from my intuition? And I guess the best way to decipher that I've found so far is to see how, if it's emotionally charged or if it's objective.
Yeah,
and then
nobody's got time in those moments to go grab your journal and be like, hang on, predator, I need to journal about this for a second and decide if this is intuition or if I'm just really scared of you because you have a hook for a hand.
Or if I'm just paranoid and I can't survive in this world without being full of fear, because that's what happens.
Yeah, a lot of it's programmed.
Yeah, it could be programming, not intuition. So I think just practicing working with your intuition, and when you get intuitive nudges and they're right, they turn out to be right, go back and decipher, okay, when I had that intuitive nudge, what did it feel like? That's a good question that you can ask yourself to know how you interact with your intuition, because I think we all work with our intuition a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, but more about this when we come back from break. We're going to take a little break and we will see you guys on the other side. We're going to give you some tools, some tips, some tricks on how to get more in touch with your intuition, and keep on listening to it.
And at the end of this episode, we are going to do some hypnosis around turning the dial up on your intuition so that you guys can keep practicing getting in touch with it and knowing what it feels like for you. So we will be right back and we'll see you on the other side.
Hello, hello. I almost said hey guys, but I feel like I always say hey guys. So I went with the hello to bring us back in.
I like it. It's nice.
It's Kelsey, Aida here, your co-host, here with Miss Lynnsey. And we're still here talking about intuition, how to get more in touch with it. We want to give you guys, as always, some practical tools. We're going to dive into some different stones that you can use, some different herbs and plant medicine that's very helpful for getting in touch with your intuition, some other things you can do as far as like mindset-wise, meditation-wise, all that jazz. And something that is very, very helpful to keep in mind as far as the intuition goes, you can hear your intuition best when your nervous system is relaxed and soothed and unraveled. So on that note, basically what I'm saying is, in order to hear your intuition, it's really helpful to keep your body nice, healthy, and restored, which brings us to the introduction of our very awesome new sponsor, Care of, which Lynnsey's going to tell you a little bit about.
So we just recently got introduced to this company. I heard about it. I know you've probably seen like tons of information about it. It's amazing. Care of is so easy to get into, first of all. Being somebody who loves taking vitamins, I know, Kelsey, you're big on supplements and stuff and keeping healthy. I like convenience. I know a lot of our listeners do. So you just go online. It's takecareof.com. Is that right? Takecareof.com. You take like a 5-minute quiz, answer questions about your routine, what you're looking for in supplements, what you need, as far as, you know, if you want better clarity, just a healthier body. You know, they have mental questions and stuff too. So what are you basically looking for in these supplements? And then in less than 5 minutes, you get your results back, which are completely research based, the recommendations based on your answers that you gave. And then you just get this magic box shipped to your house full of the perfect supplements for you. It's amazing. And they also come in compostable packages. Kelsey, tell them about the packages, because I know you were excited about this one.
Yeah, so Lynnsey and I just got this company on our radar, and we're kind of obsessed with it because, one, in order to have a high vibe life, it's really important that you're taking care of your body and your physical and emotional body, which vitamins, supplements, and protein all help with, and Care of can provide all of these in a really easy way. Like basically you take this fun quiz, like Lynnsey said, we both took it. It was really cool. Actually, I like nerded out after the quiz and they gave me all these recommendations, but then I was like, oh my God, they have so much information on all the different supplements and powders and whatever that they have. So I like went into all of them and I was like, but what other ones do I need? And you can like custom select your own vitamins and supplements and powders. And they even had like protein powder that's vegan, which I like to take plant-based protein. So I thought that was really awesome that they have that available. And what's really cute is like they send you your vitamins in little individualized packets, which at first I was like, oh, that's kind of wasteful. But then I learned that it's actually not, because Care of cares about the environment and they use compostable daily packs. So your vitamins come in a little package that says your name, and then you open it and you take those each day, and then you can actually compost the bag, which is great. And on the website takecareof.com, they give you instructions and a bunch of info on how to do that. So they care about the environment. They help you with your body, which is amazing. And it's all around just a really high vibe company.
And the products are really high quality too. I was concerned, being a breastfeeding mom, that maybe I wasn't able to order some of the stuff. And, you know, you have to keep that in mind too, but they're so versatile in catering to basically every kind of lifestyle. So they had perfect vitamins for breastfeeding moms. They have, like she said, vegan, vegetarian. So we're really excited about it. And we want you guys to go check them out. How can they do that, Kels?
Yeah, you guys can actually get 25% off your first Care of order if you go to takecareof.com and enter the coupon code VIBIN. So that's VIBIN. There's no apostrophe at the end. It's just the word alone. So get 25% off your first Care of order by going to takecareof.com and enter VIBIN. Another thing I want to say about this, because I'm not done bragging about it because I like it a lot, is that you can modify your subscription at any time. So let's say that you're like, oh, I don't need this supplement anymore. This herb isn't really working for me, whatever. You can switch it up. And also, because I travel a lot, you know, it's like so annoying when you travel and you have to bring all your vitamins and they're in these like clunky containers and your suitcase is like shaking and you can like
or
hear
me
all your
where
stuff.
You just put them all in one baggie and you just throw it in your suitcase.
Don't know what's what or like how much to take of what. So what's cool is these little daily packets that they give you, it already has your daily stuff. So like, let's say I'm going on a trip for 7 days. I can just take out 7 little packets from my Care of stuff and bring them in my suitcase and they're already ready to go. And they have my name on it, which is fun. So it could be like, Kelsey, here's your little vitamins today. And I'm like, oh, thanks.
And they have everything. They have herbs, they have protein, they have vitamins, they have, oh my God, the list goes on. So go to takecareof.com, get 25% off your first order by typing in VIBIN. That's Vibin in checkout. Go check it out, guys. It's really, really great.
Yeah.
Now, let's get back to intuition.
Let's talk about herbs since we're
Let's talk about herbs. That's a perfect segue.
On the note of vitamins, supplements, protein powders, whatever. So here's my whole spiel, and it will be my spiel for the time being because I'm very much having this realization recently, which is that the nervous system and the state of your nervous system has everything to do with your success, because when your nervous system is relaxed and soothed, that's when the information can come in. That's when you'll be still enough inside your body to hear your intuition. If your nervous system is overstimulated, you're not going to get clear messages. It's going to be like you have like a foggy radio signal, like a staticky radio signal. Mm-hmm. But to make your signal clearer, all you have to do is relax the body and the mind so you can get those messages to come in more clearly. So some of my favorite herbs to help soothe the nervous system, which in turn will help connect you better to your
marijuana. No, just kidding. I mean, it's true, but that's not on our list.
This herb, I've actually never smoked weed, so I can't say, but I mean,
well, sure the listeners have, and they can tell you that it absolutely
that they get very many downloads when they do that. Not that we're condoning it or recommending it, but we're just, talking about it because this is
we're not condoning it, but we're also not coming out and saying
like if you get high and something bad happens to you, it's not our fault. It's basically
right. Yeah.
We're not held responsible for your health and what you do.
Oh my goodness. So let's go to the herbs that's actually on the list.
Talk about. Okay.
That was just a fun one.
Some easy ones that are easy to get your hands on are chamomile and lavender, which you can drink in like a tea form. You can use, I guess you could use it in like an aromatherapy sense also if you have like essential oils. Personally, I don't love lavender, like the smell. It makes me like lightheaded and weird.
Oh my God, we're soulmates. I say this all the time and it's so unpopular because I'm like, I'm not really a big fan of lavender and people are like, what are you talking about? You alien, get out. So I'm so glad that you said that and it just proves that we're soul sisters. So keep going.
Yes. One of my favorite teas, and this is not one of our sponsors, I just really like this tea. It's by Traditional Medicinals, herbal tea brand, and it's called Chamomile with Lavender. And if you're watching this video on the Patreon, you can see because I'm holding up the little packet. But it's a fusion of both of those. So you can drink the tea and it just feels really nice. I like to drink it before bed, or if I'm having an anxious moment, that helps a lot. Some other ones that are really good herb-wise that help your nervous system, which can actually be found on Care Of. So I would recommend you go to Care Of and order these. Turmeric is one that's a super, super amazing magical herb that can help to soothe your nervous system. And it's an anti-inflammatory. So in that sense, it's also going to help soothe the body, which will help you get more into your intuition. And also ashwagandha. That's a plant that people have traditionally used to help with stress management. So another nervous system helper and friend. Those two can both be found on Care Of. So go to takecareof.com if you want to order those and enter the code Vibin.
Once again. Is that all the herbs? Kelsey knows all about the herbs. I'm not too big into the herbs.
I'm not like an herbal specialist or anything, but I have friends who are, so they give me the pointers. They're always like, what's your baseline? And I'm like, anxiety and depression. They're like, okay, take these. Then I'm like, all right, whatever you say, I'll take.
That was the most excited I've ever heard anyone say depression. You were just so excited. Depression. Okay, take these. Well, herbs are great. I mean, I do love herbs. I love teas. I love all that stuff. So I'm actually, it might help to actually make a list of all these for the Patreon and just post it somewhere.
Okay, I'll do a Patreon post. So if you guys aren't on our Patreon, first of all, where are you? Because that's where all the super fans are. Second of all, you can join our Patreon by going to patreon.com/highvibe. And if you're like, what the fuck is Patreon? Basically, it's a way for you guys to support the show and to have even more interaction with us and to get even more content, more bonuses, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, patreon.com/highvibe. Let me make a note to make
lots of exclusive stuff on there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about the next one. Can I talk about the next one?
Yeah, do it.
Okay. So I am of the belief, and Kelsey, I think you'll agree, that creativity is really one of the most direct lines to your soul self. It's one of the best forms of self-expression, actual self-expression versus the human self-expression. So anything you can do to be creative or to open that channel, whether it's art or, sculpting, which is kind of art, or dancing, which is also kind of art. You know what I'm talking about. Any of the arts, but dancing is a big one because it allows a cohesiveness, a connection between mind and body, and really allows all the channels to be open and free. And anytime you can be open and free, that's when the messages are going to come. Anytime you can quiet your mind, that's when the messages are going to come. Sometimes they come without us even trying, but these are ways, if you're looking to turn it up or to at least tune in to know the difference between what an intuition message feels like versus what a fear message feels like. These are all great ways to do that because creativity is super high vibe, and that's where you need to get to know where your high vibe wisdom's coming from.
How many times did you say high vibe in that?
I don't know. We should make a drinking game because you say perspective.
Oh my gosh.
You say perspective so much that I feel like I could take a shot every time you say it. And I say and but so many times in a show that like we could both be schmammered by the time the show's over.
That's a good idea. I mean, I don't really know.
Not for us, maybe for the listeners. Tell us how it goes for you.
Maybe drinking is not like the most high vibe suggestion for things for you to do, but I like the idea of where this is going.
I didn't say what we'd be taking shots of. For all you know, it's kombucha, okay?
All right.
Taking shots of kombucha. But anyway, so writing, drawing, painting, dancing, what are some other things you can be doing? What are you laughing at?
Sorry, I'm just laughing at the chat. Okay, so you guys who can't like see the video recording on Patreon.
Oh no.
The way that we do this show is like we have tech people who produce it, the sound guys, whatever, they're magical beings in the heavens who like produce this show, and we're just the talent, right? We just show up and talk about our lives and stuff. And in the chat, he said, you gave away the control room secret drinking game, which now I'm just imagining everyone at Voice America, like, just drinking every time I fucking say perspective or fuck, probably.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Okay, that's the best moment of the whole show. Knowing that the true colors of our control room.
Now we know what really goes on behind the scenes.
Anyway, look. A double shot for an F-bomb. Yes, that's right, Kelsey. Double shot for an F-bomb. Kombucha, right? They're shooting kombucha. I know they are.
Sure they are.
Anyway, so stop distracting us. So let's get back to the subject at hand. Let's see.
Creativity. You are saying creativity is a great way to open up your channel to receive more intuition. I would agree with that. As a dancer.
Yes, let's talk about that because I know if anybody doesn't know, Kelsey is an amazing dancer. She dances everywhere. She dances all the time. How do you feel and why do you love dancing so much in terms of intuition? What does it do for you?
Well, when I dance, I feel the most connected to God, source, my higher self. I'm actually, if I'm just like free flowing and just moving my body the way that it wants to move, I'm like a direct channel for source and for messages and downloads to come through in that moment. And it doesn't always come through in like an information sense when I'm dancing. It's more like a knowing or a feeling or a sensing. And after I get finished dancing, I have a very strong sense of excitement. I have a very strong knowing that everything is going to be okay. I can tune into these truths about who I am and what my life has in store. So dancing works for me, but for anyone else, it could be painting, it could be drawing, it could just be journaling, like freehand journaling where you're just channeling your higher self. Oh, I wanted to mention, let's say you're like, oh, I still can't hear my intuition. I don't know what to do. You can take on the perspective.
Heyo.
Everyone take a shot. You can take on the perspective of your higher self by actually channeling and like taking on that perspective of your higher self. So let's say, I don't know what to do in this situation. It's really tricky. I can't hear my intuition. You can sit down with a journal and be like, okay, what would my higher self tell me to do? Mm-hmm. And then take a few deep breaths, go into that perspective and just let it out. See
This is actually what the hypnosis is going to be about today because we're going to do a quick hypnosis at the end of the show to help you practice turning up your intuition. And part of it is, if I did know the answer, what would it be? And you can ask this anytime you want. It's so, so effective. If I did know, or if you can't get in touch with that, who's the smartest, most wise person I can think of? Alive, dead, fictional, or real? Some people say Yoda. Some people say Dumbledore. Some people say my grandmother. So it doesn't really matter who you pick as long as they're the wisest person you can think of. And what would they say about this? It's so powerful, you guys. And it just helps you kind of get familiar with that power that you already have to know the answer. Because you're not actually asking Yoda, you're asking yourself, and you have the answer somewhere in there. And that's why hypnosis is so effective. And that's why all these tips and practices that we're giving you are so effective, because you already know it's in there. You just, need practice, like a muscle.
This is inspiring me to go on a huge side tangent about channeling and collective consciousness and how we're all connected and how on like one plane of existence. Yoda's essence is like real, and so you
Yeah,
see
yeah.
final Yoda, even though he's like a fictional, quote unquote, fictional character, but like the consciousness of Yoda was created from somebody from somewhere. So anyway, interesting thoughts. But let's go into some stones that are also helpful. So we talked about some herbs. We talked about being creative. The two, or I should say the one major thing that you already know you should be doing to get in touch with your intuition is, drum roll please, meditation. Boom, nailed it. Everybody,
Nailed it.
not meditating, what are you doing? Why are you wasting your time? Meditation is the answer to a lot of your problems. And if you're listening to this show, you're like, how can I have all the insights, and how can I feel good, and how can I raise my vibe? Like, meditation is the place to start, you know?
And if you're wondering, Lynnsey was just talking about hypnosis, what's the difference? Really, if you're doing a guided meditation with words, going on a journey, there's really no difference. But in general meditation, you are sitting alone, clearing, right? You're clearing the mind, you're clearing the thoughts, you're resetting in a way. With hypnosis, there's an objective. Let's turn up your intuition. That's the objective. Let's get closure from a breakup. That's the objective. But with meditation, you're opening. And a lot of that opening will, allow the space for intuition to come through as well.
Yeah. So if you're not meditating, do that.
Do it.
On a regular basis. That is something that I will prescribe as Dr. Kelsey Aida, even though I'm not a doctor.
Careful.
But jokingly, I will prescribe that everyone meditate because it's very helpful and very important. Moving on to some stones. I'm just going to list these off real quick because I don't want to go into like too much of a side tangent about crystals, but there are some stones that are really helpful for opening up your intuition and helping you get in touch with your guides, your spirit team, your higher self, God.
Mm-hmm.
So amethyst, that's a very popular stone. That's a great one. Selenite is really good, especially for getting in touch with your angels or your spirit team. Purple agate is very good for intuition heightening, third eye stuff. Purple jade is also very good. And almost all clear stones actually are good for getting in touch with your intuition. So if you have any of those, you can meditate with them, you can sleep next to them, you can hang out with them, you can be friends with them, work with them, and they will help you to heighten your intuition.
Yeah. What else do we have? Zoning out. Zone out as often as possible.
Actually, yeah. If you zone out and you're not thinking of anything, I guess that would be like a form of meditation.
Yeah, I guess so.
A less focused, intentional way of doing it, but you can get some
and something that everybody can get on board with. Like, yeah, like some people will say, I can't meditate, but I can definitely zone out. So whichever way you can do it, do it.
There you go. When you're driving and you get those insights, when you're in the shower and you get those insights, those are all times when you're just zoning out, and then the intuition just comes right to you, falls in your lap.
I was zoning out when I thought of zoning out.
Well, there you go.
When I thought about writing it down for our list, I was zoning out. Yes. And if you guys have any tips, how do you get in touch with your intuition? I want to hear from you guys. So message us, get in touch with us, email us.
Where can I do that?
We want to hear from you at hi.vibin.it.show@gmail.com. That's our email. Also, Kelsey Aida on Instagram and Facebook, Lynnsey Robinson on Instagram and Facebook. We're everywhere, guys. You can't get rid of us. Everywhere. Okay, we're going to take the last break, and then when we come back, we're going to do some nice, wonderful hypnosis to help you get in touch with your intuition and turn it up more consistently. We'll see you in a sec. Welcome back, guys. So before the break, we were talking about tools and tips and things you can have to turn up your intuition more consistently and to get more in touch with that voice inside, that whatever tells you what to do in your heart, that light that guides your path. That was a very poetic way to say that. So I promised you guys it's here. I'm going to do a little hypnosis journey with you to help you even more to get in touch with that feeling and to kind of practice and get more familiar with it and to keep it more consistent, because a lot of times we feel it sometimes but not others, and if you remember the stuff that we do in the hypnosis today, remember the techniques that we showed you in this episode, just practice it. And the more you practice it, the easier it will get, the more familiar, and then you'll be a pro just like Kelsey. Right?
I mean, yeah, sure. Honestly, the way I became a psychic medium was not just by meditating. It was by getting my heart broken in a million billion pieces and then putting it back together all by myself. And all the emotional healing, all the shadow work, that's how I became psychic. So if anyone's wondering, the way,
you got to go through a lot of crap.
Or easy.
This will be a much less painful way to practice.
This is a nice way to encourage more intuition, not the turbulent way. So let's do it.
And as always, if you are driving or in a situation where you cannot put yourself in a private space that you won't be disturbed and be in a quiet space, then wait and do this later. It will be streaming on all the podcast apps, so just look for it tomorrow. But if you are in a position where you can do that, just kind of sit comfortably without having to support yourself too much. And just kind of allow your eyes to close and just take 3 nice, big, deep, slow breaths. And as you breathe, just settle into the support beneath you, wherever you are. And to the best of your ability, where you are, just allow a sense of calm and comfort to kind of wash over the body. As you imagine a color or a light flowing in through the top of the head and flowing all the way down into the neck and shoulders, into the chest as you breathe in the clean air, into the belly and the hips. Just imagine, visualize this light, this color, this feeling moving into the hips and thighs, all the way to the knees, down into the calves, ankles and feet, and finally out the toes. So if you were to visualize the body and mind, you would see the entirety of the body-mind space just radiating in this calm comfort. If you've given it a color, just visualize that even more. And just imagine yourself turning inward to the deepest part of your soul, the truest self. That part of you that knows. Notice how it feels when you do this. What emotions come up for you? How does it feel to remember who you really are? Just take a moment. Enjoy being in that part, that deepest connected spot within you. And if it feels right, and the timing is right, you could even ask a question, something that comes to mind, something that keeps coming up in your mind that you might need a resolution or some guidance on. And allow a response in a way that you can understand. Knowing that the timing will be perfect, and you trust your subconscious mind to give you only and exactly what's needed for you today. Whether that guidance comes now, perhaps a few moments from now, perhaps at a time when you let your mind wander in your conscious outer awake life, but it will come in perfect divine timing. And take a nice deep breath in and release as we begin to bring back what's been positive, bring back the wisdom gained, the experience, the feelings, take them deep within, reinforce them as true. As a nice, deep cleansing breath, one more brings you up and out. Eyes opening, coming back to the room where you've placed yourself, smiling and happy, ready to take on the day. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake, and alert, just in case anybody did not come out of that. Welcome back, Kels.
Hey.
That was a quick one, but how did it go for you? Do you want to talk about it?
I feel like a little, I don't know. I didn't realize that I was still in my kitchen. And I opened my eyes and I was like, oh, look, here I am in the kitchen.
I remember this kitchen.
I remember this place where
that tends to happen. And that's the best. I mean, that was 5 minutes and 40 seconds. That was that was not long. But depending on how much, I'm not going to say depending on your ability to be hypnotized, because everybody has it, but depending on your allowance of the experience, how much you can allow yourself to experience the words and the feelings and the light. So you are a dream to work with, because you just go whoop, exactly down to where we need you to be. You get the work done, shake your hands, come back out. So did you have a color?
Yeah, purple. Which makes sense, because that's the color of the third eye and the color of intuition. So I imagine purple, a stream of purple coming into my crown chakra, the third eye, going all the way down my body, then enveloping like my whole aura. And I felt very grounded and very omniscient. Like I would have the answer to any question.
I know everything. That's how you're supposed to feel.
Everything, bitches. Which is funny because, okay, obviously I don't know everything. Nobody knows everything. But my motto growing up was always, I know. I always had like this sense of knowing about anything.
Interesting.
Which is super funny. And you can ask my parents about it. Like that was always my motto. And a lot of people mistake it for like conceitedness. So some be like, when I was little, they'd be like, oh, Kelsey, like you're so cute. And I'd be like, thanks, I know. And it wasn't like, I know to be
That's
like
awesome.
standoffish, but it was just like me owning my cuteness. Like, thanks, I know.
So you don't have to say what you asked. You can if you want, but without giving too much away, did you get guidance on anything?
I didn't actually ask for anything specific. I was just reveling in the feeling of that groundedness and that like powerful knowing. Yeah. Like I just liked being in that powerful space of like, if I did ask any question, I would. Yeah. But I didn't have like a specific question. I was just reveling in that.
And that's exactly it. Imagine somebody that maybe isn't as in tune as you are and wants to be. Imagine them just spending 5 minutes a day, just turning inward and having that connection to their divine wisdom. That's really all you need to do. That's really all. And I wish it was more complicated. I mean, of course there's going to be, of course there's going to be ups and downs. Of course you're going to feel like a freaking failure, but other days you're going to feel like you're on top of the world. And that's just how life goes. But if this is your objective, to turn up that voice inside, that badass bee who knows everything, this is one of the best ways to do it. And in conjunction with the herbs and the stones and just being creative and dancing and zoning out sometimes, I mean, you'll be unstoppable.
Just don't forget to listen to what you hear.
That is true. Yeah.
That's the real insight, is like the true mastery of intuition is practicing hearing it and getting a clear signal. And then once you master that, are you going to take action on what you know?
Exactly.
Or are you just going to keep fucking ignoring it and then asking, oh, why doesn't my intuition work? Why doesn't my spirit team support me? What's going wrong? Bitch, you're not listening.
You would be the best spirit guide.
Why am I so feisty today?
I don't know.
I didn't get any sleep.
It must be the lack of sleep.
That's why. It's the lack of sleep. It makes me a little loopy. So sorry for all the bad words, but also I'm not sorry because that's just me being me. So
you should do it more often because you're so much fun.
Okay, I'll just never sleep before we record episodes.
You'd be like me. That's all right. We'd be the same. Mom life, hashtag. Anyway.
Sorry, not to interrupt you, but I asked on Instagram on my story if anyone had questions about intuition, which we're totally running out of time to go into. So we're going to go into those on the Patreon video.
Good call.
Because on Patreon, we can go longer and talk about more stuff. Here, we only have an hour. So if you want to get on the Patreon, just go to patreon.com/high vibe. Also, if you're loving our show, if it's helping your life, if you're really thankful for us, like we're thankful for you, we would super love and appreciate if you leave us a review wherever you're listening. I know not all the podcast apps can let you leave reviews, but like iTunes definitely does. So if you're loving the show, definitely give us a little love on there. And subscribe, find us on social media, support our Patreon if you feel inspired to do so. And what can we leave you with? One last piece of wisdom here about
no more than you think you do. And it will always work out.
And even if it doesn't work out, you will always work out.
Well, it will always work out. Whether or not it's what we envisioned, it doesn't really matter, because it'll be better than we thought. I mean, if somebody had told me that before I went through a lot of the crap I went through, oh my gosh, I would at least have that as a security blanket at night on those really, really hard days, you know? It's all working out exactly the way it's supposed to, and exactly perfect for who you are and who you want to be. And that's it. And you know more than you think you do, guys.
Listen to the knowing and take action on the knowing. Let's not ignore the red flags any longer. Let's make a promise to ourselves and to each other that when we get intuitive downloads that we know are right, because we practiced communicating, that we will act accordingly in alignment with that information that we receive. Yeah. Girl Scout honor. I'm actually not a Girl Scout, but this is how you do it.
So you're a Girl Scout, you're a doctor. Oh my gosh, you have so many titles.
Just imaginative today, okay?
You're just living limitless. Well, you guys, it's been real. I need to go get a sandwich, and I know Kelsey's starving. But we love you guys so much, and have a great week. We will see you next week. I think we have a guest next week, but I'm not actually sure. Head to the Patreon to talk to us more, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.